Hello traders and happy Sunday to you. Hope you guys are doing well. Today we're going to be taking a look at the markets as we do each week and talk about trade setups for the week ahead. So I wanted to start out with the S&P 500, and just for a quick reference for currency traders, if the S&P 500 is falling, what that generally means is that we are in a risk off environment. And why that matters to currency traders and traders who trade gold and US indices and things like that is that when we're in a risk-off environment, it is very, very different than when we are in a risk-on environment. For example, when stocks are floating higher. Now, the reason that that changes is because risk sentiment attracts a different sort of style of trading or investing in global markets. And it is more a cash heavy and focused on trying to reduce your exposure to risk rather than trying to make substantial gains. And the reason I say that is as we get into today's trading setups for the week ahead, we are going to be focusing on some of the key currency pairs and commodities that are affected by this dropping stock market situation and as risk sentiment continues to go out the window. For just reference here to the S&P 500, we broke through a major level of support at the 3,900 level. That was kind of the line in the sand for the bulls there, as each time price tried to come down to this area, there was a peg, a strong response from the bulls. But take a look at these candles. Even if you don't trade the US indices like the SPX 500, US 30, you can probably tell just from price action standpoint that this was incredibly bearish, as we had three very strong candles, one of which even closed outside of the previous structure low. So very, very weak stuff for the US stock market this week. And for good reason. There is still bearishness in this market until further notice. Any attempt to rebound from this area, to me, as much as I would like to see the stock market rally and potentially break out, until we see some sort of significant break the other direction, we have to take this market for what it is. It is a seller's market. Every time price rallies, this thing continues to sell into that. Now, if you're longer term, perhaps there's some investing concepts that you could take advantage of. I am personally buying some stocks long term, but that is neither here nor there for short-term active traders, day trading and swing trading alike. Now, let's shift our focus here for a moment to the US dollar. The US dollar last week took out the previous high. And the reason that that matters so much is that taking out the previous high in a strong uptrend is like proof that the buyers are still there. And what we can see here is that several instances the dollar has done this. It's formed a top, right? Several instances where price struggles to get beyond, and then bam, it breaks out, and as soon as it does, it tends to rally. Now, here's the thing. We did break out, but we did not get that follow-through rally just yet, though we did end the week just there at the previous structure high. So it's neither, perfect. It's not like necessarily breaking higher and running completely, but it's also not rejecting and just falling from these levels either. Where we currently sit with the US dollar, I am still bullish in the dollar until further notice for several metrics and reasons, which we'll get into in this video. I want to invite you guys, by the way, as we get further into this video, to consider subscribing to the YouTube channel if you have not already. A lot of you guys who watch my YouTube channel are not yet subscribed, and it would mean a lot to me if you support the channel by hitting the subscribe button and thumbs up button down below. Okay, so the dollar. This week, when we take a look at something like the 4-hour chart, we drop it down a little bit here and zoom in. What we can see here is that the previous top did struggle a little bit to continue past the previous area that we just mentioned on the daily chart. But going into this week, again, we had very strong reaction as soon as price tried to pull back down. So for me, looking at the dollar, any attempt to break and retest structure is a considerable opportunity to go long, in my personal opinion. In addition to that, if we do see any potential, maybe double back for further lows, I would be interested in potentially buying the dollar on a discounted pullback, something like this. These areas here look pretty good. Now, of course, I'm not going to be trading DXY. This is just a dollar currency index, but I am actually going to look at some individual currency pairs with you guys here today to actually get some ideas. But I like to start with the indices. I like to start with the, the U.S. stock market indices as well as the dollar indices or index to get an idea of the overall market sort of flow. What this does is it tracks the dollar against a bunch of other currencies like the euro, the pound, the yen, right? And it gives us a gauge of how strong that dollar really is. So now when we go look at some of the individual currency pairs, let's go look at something like EURUSD, which I do have a bearish bias on, and I'm going to show you why. Let me show you the euro dollar on our scanner here for a second. If I go find it down here, actually, where is euro dollar? Can I see, am I just, there it is right in front of me. So the euro dollar, here's the thing about the euro dollar, right? Market structure has been incredibly weak for the euro pretty much all year, right? Since the beginning of, actually, I mean, really all throughout 2021 as well. Basically the start of 2021 until now, we have seen a very powerful downward trend for the EURUSD. And when we take a look at current metrics on the EURUSD Edge Finder scan, what you'll notice here is that things are still very, very ugly for the euro. It gets a score of -5, and I'm going to explain this breakdown here for a second. Basically, we have the commitment of traders data coming out, and you can see that the 75.99% figure here tells us that the institutional positions, the bank traders, the hedge funds, they are mostly siding with the dollar on this one, whereas 56% of it is long on euro. So still some long on the euro, but a majority of long positions open on the USD. That makes it so that when we look at euro dollar and you have to bet on one and short the other, we'd be looking to buy that dollar, short the euro in that category. That's one of the several metrics that our software scans for. Next up, we'll take a look at retail sentiment. You can see in the retail sentiment department, 64% of the crowd is going long on the currency pair, thinking that this thing has bottomed and it's going back up. Okay, well, here's the problem. If the crowd is super bullish on something, and we know the crowd tends to lose money, it's a dangerous thing, especially in a pullback in a downward trend, which brings me to the next metric I wanted to talk about, trend reading. We have a very strong downward trend. Very simple price action observation. This market is trending lower on the higher time frames. Seasonality is the next one. If we go down here and take a look, we're in the month of June, and June historically is slightly, but almost barely noticeably negative for the pair throughout the last like 15 years. Okay. GDP growth and inflation favor the euro, whereas unemployment and interest rates favor the US. So there is an idea for me based on the euro dollar. I like the euro dollar short going into next week. And like I said, it actually popped up at one of the lowest on the list of our market scanner, which summarizes all the currency pairs. By the way, if you would like to take a pause here and look at any currency pair or commodity that you are personally looking at, you can get an idea of what the Edge Finder has at least scanned for you on each one of the different currency pairs that we track. So some of the bottom are pound dollar, Aussie dollar, euro dollar, pound CAD, UK 100, and some of the ones at the top are things like dollar CAD, Swiss yen, dollar TRY, euro yen, dollar yen, and so on and so forth. So take a pause if you would like to. By the way, also, if you have been meaning to get access to our Edge Finder, here it is in its full glory for a super discounted price down below in the description and in the pinned comment section down below. You can get access to the tool for a super discounted rate right now. So take advantage of that and don't miss out. Okay, so, and remember that is with the code that is down there. I should have mentioned that. There's a code. Hopefully you guys saw that correctly on the recording there. But I'm doing this all at home today, so I have no editor or anything on this. But anyways, take advantage of the sale if you've been meaning to get access to the software. It'll be linked in the description with that promo code. So euro dollar to me looks like a short setup if we do get a pullback this week. And pullback to where is the question? Let's look at the 4-hour chart. From a price action standpoint, one level that I really liked but never really got a chance to sell was this area here at 1.0660. If we have a really weak dollar this week and we see the euro dollar break out higher, as we did see some signs of strength for the euro, any retest of this area to me could potentially be a nice opportunity on the higher time frames to get a sell trade in there, right? Because again, longer term, I think that this thing continues lower, but you know, yeah, we're possibly looking at retests of these areas as premium selling opportunity for me on the Euro USD. Next up, we'll take a look at GBP USD, and taking a look at the pound, it's a similar story. We go back to the Edge Finder for a second. In fact, what I'll do is I'll start pulling this one up on this on the individual scanner. You can also see that GBP USD came in at a very strong -8, receiving a red metric or a sell bias in almost all of our categories that we scan for. And let's go take a look at that individual sheet for a second. So it gets a strong sell, and again, COT data, retail sentiment, seasonality, the trend, and economic figures basically favor shorting the pound. One thing that stuck out to me especially is that the crowd is 74% buying this currency pair, whereas only 26% are actually going short. So to me, it pays more to be in the minority of retail traders. Because if we know retail traders, like I said earlier, if they tend to lose money, we got to be very careful going in on the same trades as them. So we're looking at more downside. Personally, I think that there is some good opportunities to sell the pound dollar coming up. I would be careful on this one because one thing that I don't love about this, well, I guess now it's favoring. Ooh, actually, wait a second. Hold on. Let me back up. This just switched to a bias towards the US dollar. And let me explain this. What we're looking at, this metric right here, is something important. This is the interest rate comparison between the two currencies. So what we've done with this software is we've scanned for specific metrics like GDP, inflation, and we've basically automated the process of comparing the two currencies involved. So in this case, what you can see is that under the category of interest rates, the US just raised their interest rates by a whopping 75 basis points, but so did the UK, but they only raised by 25 basis points. Okay, so interesting stuff. What that gives us is a higher interest rate at 1.75% here in the United States. That's a higher rate than in the UK. And inflation here in the US is lower than in the UK. So to me, these are all things that tell us, okay, that's a short bias on this pair as we want to short the pound and buy the dollar. That would be my personal opinion looking at this one. So now let's go take a look at the chart and see where those short trades may lie. I usually execute my trades on the 1 hour chart or the 4 hour chart. So right now, to be fair to the bulls, we have seen some nice higher lows. So for me, there's a couple scenarios I could look out for going into this week if I wanted to short pound dollar. Similar to the euro dollar, I could be looking at a retest of 1.25. But alternatively, if I see momentum start picking up to the downside, right, there is that potential to look for things on the lower time frames. So for example, you could arguably draw a little bit of a trend line action here, right, and say, maybe if we break lower, we're looking for retests of resistance and just go with the flow there. So on the intraday perspective, I may actually enter some positions on GBPUSD this week off the hourly chart, as that's usually where I execute my trades anyways. So I'm just looking for either some weakness to show up and then some pullback plays, or a deeper pullback on the higher time frames up to levels like 1.25 for a possible short setup. Of course, if I take any trades, you guys will see them inside of our Discord channel. I share all of my trades in my trade alert section there. I haven't been super hot recently, but I think I'm going to turn that around. I've got a couple great setups right now, one that's starting out very good, and we'll see how it goes. But again, anyways, you can see all of my trades with their full breakdowns, entries, exits, and analysis inside of our private Discord channel. In fact, let me show you what that looks like for a second. Here's what the Discord channel looks like. So you can see I bought CAD yen on Friday, and this one started out pretty good. We'll see if this one can make some money, but I broke out the trade completely. So why I took the trade, where I entered, why I'm bullish on the pair, why I'm bearish on the pair, where my stop loss is, whether it's a swing trade, day trade. I try and break it down in a full manner because when I was a newer trader, I wanted a service that would actually do that, where somebody would explain every single trade that they were taking with full reasoning. If you want to do that, if you want to join our community, that's one of the perks that's in there. You also get access to our community chat room, which is awesome. So you can actually chat with other traders. Here's what that looks like. And then of course, we also have a trade ideas submission portal, which is really fun because what you can do here is, like, let's say we'll shout out 𝗀🧗 right here. Hey 𝗀🧗, what's up, man? I know you watch the videos. So 𝗀🧗 shared an idea, right? So he has his idea shared. He has his breakdown on why he took the trade. And then if people like their trade, they can drop a feedback note. So if I don't like 𝗀🧗's trade, I can drop that. If I do like his trade, I can do this. And I like dollar yen long. So not bad at all. 𝗀🧗, I like that. But anyways, yeah. So what we're doing here is we are basically making it so that you can share your ideas and get feedback from other members. And we have a lot of members, so there's plenty of feedback to go around and plenty of conversations to be had. We also do coaching webinars and so much more. So take advantage of that. There's a link down below in the description. If you would like access to our Discord, we would love to have you join the group, and maybe we'll see some of you guys in there. Feel free to shoot me a message if you do decide to join. Okay, so next up on the list is going to be dollar yen. Going off of what 𝗀🡪 just pointed out, I got motivated to look at this one. So let's look at this pair. So here's the thing on the 4-hour chart, right? Man, dollar yen is so strong, and I really would love to take a buy trade on this pair, especially if this week we do in fact finally get above that previous high at 135.50. If that comes into play, I'll be looking for shorter term opportunities to buy the pullback with the possibility of seeing another runner on dollar yen. Things are there, things are setting up for that. We have recession fears, we have concerns about the economy, and that has been continuously pushing the dollar yen higher. So I am willing to look for opportunities to try and take advantage of some more upside there on the dollar yen. So we'll keep tabs on that, but that is one of my primary trade ideas is dollar yen longs, and I do believe that it also shows up high on the edge finder. Yep, dollar yen is a buy in this category. You can see it rates highly in most of the categories. And yeah, so I do like this one for upside, especially on a break and retest opportunity. Would not be too surprised to see if we do pop above there this week. And if that happens, dollar yen is up on the watch list. Next up is gold. Let's take a look at XAUUSD here and see what's going on with gold. So I actually need to take you guys to the daily chart for gold for a second. I like gold long. And I think that I do actually have a trade open that I took last week. I took it on this candle here. I took a buy trade, more as a longer term buy trade, but still, I liked the way we were holding this level. And longer term, from almost like an investing standpoint, I like to buy gold and stick a little bit of my account when it's down, just as sort of a... It's just a small portion of the account, but it's as just a bit of a hedge, as well as, should we see unemployment and recession concerns, gold sometimes does very well in that sort of atmosphere. So my personal opinion is gold is being overlooked right now, and that overall we should see a continuation of the upward trend on the higher time frames. But anyways, where do I think gold goes this week? Well, I think from just a perspective of structure, would not be out of the question to see price retest these highs. We did reject this area very low, very strongly. So I think gold should probably head back up to 1870 to at the very least retest that structure before either coming down or breaking out. But I think in the short term, we see price make a move up to that level. And from there, we'll make a decision with what markets decide to do there. For me, one of the bigger trades that I'm looking out for this year, I'll just tell you right now on gold, is this move here. If that starts to break out and starts happening, again, I think that unemployment concerns, I think that slowing economy and potential recession concerns could actually act to really strengthen gold. And one of the things that I will be looking out for, like I said, is momentum to start picking up and trying to get involved on some of the move. We had a big run up on the oil situation. In fact, I think we were just shy of all-time highs. We basically retested those previous highs that we saw during the 2020 run up. And I think that there's probably a breakout of that level coming at some point here in the future. I will be looking out for that, and that's why I think that gold down in these lows is a buy. In fact, if price for the longer term, let's say it retests some of these lows here, I would actually be looking to potentially buy gold around the 17 area, because I think 1700, because I think that that would be longer term a really good play. That's my personal opinion. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, in the shorter term, like I said, I think gold has potential to swing back to the previous high. And if it does start to break out, we'll look at some swing trades for potentially more upside on that. Next up is going to be GBPJPY. I know the GJ is a very popular currency pair. We had some strength here that came in towards the end of last week, and I am looking to see if we can get some more of that. Pound yen, can we make a stab at the previous high? That's the question, right? Can we start making that move on up to that previous structure high around 168.5. I think it's very possible, especially if the pound stays strong compared to the yen specifically, right? That cross is a very, very unique one. And, generally speaking, the yen has been so weak this year. I mean, look at the yen. This is a daily chart. The yen has just been tanking since the 2020s. or 2020, right? It's been just getting demolished. So if that continues to be the case, pound yen should probably head back to the previous top. It looks like it wants to. We'll see if that comes into play. But short term, the momentum favors the bulls, in my opinion, and shorting the yen has been one of the easier trades out there in recent times. Until that changes, I will still be doing it. I know people say, oh, well, that's going to change. Well, yes, it will change at some point. But until it does, I'll be there to take advantage of what I can. So I like pound yen currently at current levels, possibly a secondary attempt down here. So for example, let's say I'm looking at pound yen long. I like both trade ideas, right? So I could be looking to potentially go long here. And if it doesn't work out, maybe try again down here. And if it doesn't work out, then yeah, I would scrap the idea. But that's generally how I approach my trading, is I'll take more than one attempt if I need to, if I really like something long. Let me speak about one that I have a long position open in. I bought CAD yen, and you might say, Nick, that looks like a downtrend. But I pointed this out recently. I loved this way, the way that price held this area. And if the yen stays weak, man, this would be such a beautiful trade. And it's from one word, oil. So oil there's been some supply line issues with Russia and their invasion of Ukraine and the sanctions. It's been a supply line issue, and I think that there is a bigger, longer term effect of that could continue to pump oil higher. So what does that have to do with the CAD yen? Well, Canada exports a lot of oil. When the oil market is heating up, a lot of times we see the Canadian dollar also rise with it. So when we look at CAD yen, I have a bullish bias on this one until further notice, and the way we rejected this area looked so good for bullishness that I'm willing to hold on to my long position and see if we can get a run back up to the previous high and perhaps even beyond. But that's a trade setup I like personally right now. We'll see how that plays out this week. If I get stopped out, I'll look for other opportunities, but I'll be watching this one myself, of course, very closely out of the gate this week. Next up is Euro yen, another yen cross. Again, very, very much respected the daily chart here, found support and jumped off of this level. Looks like it's probably headed to the previous high. And to me, if you're a day trader, maybe there's opportunities to even trade that intraday. For example, let's say, you get even something brief. You get like some of these pullbacks that have already kind of been, you can see traders in there jumping in on the pullbacks, right? So perhaps pullback plays are in order for Euro yen, making a move back to the previous high. Again, seems like the most logical play for the time being on Euro yen. We've broken this downward structure, right? And continued to go higher. So Euro yen, another one that I like on the long side. So that's going to wrap it up for me, you guys. Remember, take advantage of some of our sales. If you want access to the Edge Finder, take advantage of that down below in the description and the pinned comment. And with that said, guys, have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time.